Secretary will call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Latta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nielsen, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
Members, if you could please come to the Senate floor so we can reach quorum.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Latta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nielsen, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
A quorum is present. Therefore, would members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag by Senator Leyva.
And let us center ourselves in God's presence. Eternal God, lead us now out of the familiar setting of our doubts and fears, beyond our pride and our need to be secure, into a strange and graceful ease with our true proportions and with yours, that in boundless silence we may grow strong enough to endure and flexible enough to share your grace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sister.
Good morning, colleagues. We will start with privileges of the floor, and we will start with Senator Gaines at Senator De Leon's desk. Senator Gaines, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam President and members. And I just wanted to take this opportunity, if I could, to take this indulgence to introduce my family. And I've got my mother and my father and Bob and Winnie Gaines, and then also my two sisters, Claire and Margaret. And so they've just come to visit, and they mean so much to me. Family is just so critical that we support our families, and we have a duty and responsibility as Californians to do that. And my parents have just exemplified that in being such great parents. I'm just so grateful for them. And my mom was the first ordained Episcopal priest in Northern California. I think that was in the early 1980s. Was that 81? I think it was approximately 81. And she did great things. She was the chaplain of the Senate. Senator Tim Leslie, at the time, was able to help out in that regard, and we're grateful for that. And my dad has just done a great job in the community. He's such a giver in his church and in other nonprofit organizations, the Children's Receiving Home and other Mercy Foundation and things. And so I'm just very grateful to have this opportunity because my dad's 89 and my mom is 86. Is that right? I think 86. She'll be 87 in September. And so I'm grateful for this opportunity for them to be on the floor. And they were just going to watch me preside for a little bit later on today. So thank you for the indulgence.
Thank you and welcome to the Gaines family and to our trailbreaker with the Episcopal Church in Northern California. Always a pleasure to see you and have you with us. Nice touch. Exactly. Privileges of the floor, colleagues. Privileges of the floor. Are there any other privileges of the floor? All right, colleagues, we're going to move to the consideration of our daily file. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, and notices. Motions, resolutions, and notices, colleagues. Seeing none, we are going to go to consideration of the daily file. Under the second reading file, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 334 with amendments, 643 with amendments, Senate Bill 579, and Assembly Bill 475.
Second reading file will be deemed read. Under unfinished business, file item 12. File item 12. Pass on file. File item 13. Pass on file. We will go to consideration of the of third reading. Members, without objection, we will take up the following bills out of file order. And I'm going to defer now to Senator Gaines, who will preside at this point. Sorry, I didn't see you here. So
Thank you so much, Senator Jackson. Yes, we will now address the following file items. These are the climate change bills. Without objection, we will be taking up the following bills out of file order. That's file item 21, file item 42, file item 105, file item 28, file item 56, file item 62, file item 106, file item 67, file item 85, file item 101, and file item 89. Let us now take up file item 21, Senator De Leon. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 350 by Senator De Leon, an act relating to energy.
Senator De Leon.
Members, today we stand up to address a global issue, but one that has severe local impacts. Salvador Mendoza from Fresno spent most of his life as a farm worker in the valley. He and his wife, Ricarda, came from Mexico over 30 years ago and started a family. Several years ago, he had to stop working after being diagnosed with a life-threatening idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis and a fungal infection in his lungs. He has difficulty breathing every day and has been struggling to keep up with his medical bills. Roy Rivera from Sacramento, who lives just a 10-minute drive from here in Fruit Ridge Manor. He also suffers from a respiratory disease, living with a disability on a fixed income. He and his partner, Roger, have been together for 25 years, and now Roger serves as his caregiver. Roy and Salvador are just two stories among the millions of Californians in the Valley who live in the most polluted communities in the nation. And this is just not a problem for the San Joaquin Valley. Colleagues, 6 major freeways crisscross my district like a serpent that chokes the air out of a child's lungs. Pollution from cars, power plants, oil refineries, and factories makes even the simple act of breathing a struggle. And taxpayers end up paying the bill through constant emergency room visits and lost school and work days. Statewide, asthma. Asthma is the leading cause of absenteeism in our public schools. The cost of business should never be a negative health impacts for our children. This is simply not sustainable, and we need to change course. And that is why, Mr. President, colleagues, I rise today to present Senate Bill 350, the golden standards. For too long, the poor, the working communities, the working class families in our most polluted communities do not have the option to invest in renewable energy and clean, efficient transportation. But that is changing. I actually met Roy and Salvador last month when I visited their homes for a solar panel installation. Roy and Salvador's families are the first of many that will receive free solar panels through a program that uses our cap-and-trade dollars to help our most disproportionately impacted communities in the state of California. They are a growing and highly diverse movement to reduce climate change impacts and eliminate the harmful pollution that so many of our children are struggling today just to breathe. With the sun that is now pouring their home, Roy will save about $1,000 in utility bills this year alone. That amounts to about $22,800 over a course of 30 years. Salvador's family expects to save about 75% on their electricity bills in Fresno. And on top of that, their homes will be less dependent on electricity powered by the dirty fossil fuels that make it harder for them to breathe. Salvador and Roy told me that their energy savings will provide much energy relief, that they will have more money to help treat their lung diseases and meet other everyday needs. We're also getting more clean cars on the roads in the communities that suffer the most from polluted air. Just last week, Lorraine and Jose Mendoza from Stockton, California, got their keys to a new electrical vehicle after we crushed their high-polluting truck right outside the Capitol. Lorena and Jose and their 6 beautiful daughters, all honor class students, now have reliable transportation that will save them almost $3,600 a year in fuel costs. These 3 families provide a glimpse of what a future in renewable energy and cleaner cars look like for the state of California. This is what motivates me, to push our policies and our businesses forward to get us there. Setting these ambitious standards in SB 350 will spur innovation and investment and strengthen California's progress in building a 21st century economy that is sustainable. These standards are reasonable, achievable, and consistent with the framework that we have already established. Now, pollution doesn't recognize partisan lines, and neither has California's leadership on this issue. We passed AB 32 with bipartisan support. and then Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed it into law. We're also seeing bipartisan action at the local level. The Honorable Rex Parris, the Republican mayor of the town of Lancaster, helped pass a measure to require that all new homes in this growing community install solar panels. He says his Republican free market principles informed him of this decision because solar power will save Lancaster households 15 to 30% on their utility bills. Leading companies, businesses in California like Apple, Google, Kaiser, KB Homes, Levi Strauss for your 501 Levi jeans, as well as The Gap, and investment giants such as Citicorp and Goldman Sachs all understand that renewable energy is a winning proposition. California already leads the nation in clean tech investment and job creation in the renewable energy sector. We have already proven that we can create jobs, jobs that are real, jobs that are tangible, jobs that can't be outsourced or offshored elsewhere. We have already proven we can lower utility bills and rebuild our energy infrastructure, all the while cleaning up the air that we breathe into our lungs and reducing our contribution to climate change. SB 350 will spur even more action from our public officials and our business leaders alike and make sure California keeps leading and building the new economy of tomorrow. Now, in conclusion, Mr. President, as well as colleagues, Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Let's get it done. Let's continue to lead the world. Colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Great. Thank you, Senator De Leon. We'll now be followed by Senator Hertzberg. Okay, why don't we move on to Senator Hueso? Oh, Senator Hertzberg? Great. To be followed by Senators Hueso, Bates, Leno, and Stone. Senator Hertzberg.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. SB 350 is not a perfect bill, but it is an important and perfect idea. It does embody a vision for the future. Why? Because it achieves, in my judgment, two critical goals. One, reduces GHGs, which we know have an impact on our posterity, our highest calling. Two, it does what is essential for our California economy. It domesticates energy production. And by domesticating energy production in a globalizing world, it means localized jobs. We are in a place where the marketplace is challenging us tremendously and legitimately. We have to be Californians. We have to be creative to figure out how we can make that happen, how we can bring jobs here where instead of importing some asset that provides our energy, we can domesticate that. The status quo bellyachers throughout history have always been poor predictors of the future. Harper's Magazine said the Golden Gate Bridge will never carry any more traffic than the existing ferry system. The LA Times in 1931 said the Hoover Dam is at most a paper scheme. And the San Francisco Chronicle termed Pat Brown's State Water Project impossible. Impossible. Big visions are often met with this kind of skepticism, and it is about vision and the future that we have to focus. And it is the vision and the future that makes us the place that we talk about of being this great economy, of this great place of innovation. So of course you're going to hear from the skeptics. Let me tell you something. I'm not someone who villainizes the oil companies. They're doing what they do. How many people in the last week have used gasoline to move themselves from one part to the other? We are the predictors. If there was no market, they would not exist, right? In 1900, ladies and gentlemen, 40% of the cars in America were powered by steam, 38% by electricity, and only 22% by gasoline. 14 years later, 99% gasoline. Markets change. We transform. That doesn't mean we are frozen in a point in time. Vision is here for the energy production, and it's transformative, and that's what this measure is about. Look, if Blockbuster said it sought itself differently, it might be Netflix or YouTube. Ask Kodak or Photomat or Polaroid what would happen if you don't transform. Transformation is us. It is who we are. It is the essence of the message of the pro tems measure. So let me tell you, what I see is that by domesticating energy, we produce high-wage jobs in California. Is it difficult? Are there going to be transitions from the old model to the new? Yes. Okay. Tell that to the people in the Pony Express or the Telegraph. Welcome to America, baby. That's what it's about. And that's what this bill is about. I see it as an opportunity to shutter coal plants in other states because California's renewable energy policy. An opportunity, as I say, to domesticate transportation fuel production for electric cars or hydrogen, to produce water at a cheaper price, and other things that we haven't even thought of yet. And so the bottom line is that we're at a point in our time where the future is not and never will be fixed. The vision of this bill is right. It's right for California. It's right for our kids. I urge and I vote.
Thank you, Senator Hertzberg. Senator Hueso?
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senators, I also rise in support of the pro tems measure. SB 350 is an energy plan for the future. We are California, the Golden State. In California, we have found ways to turn sunlight into gold, to turn wind into gold, to turn steam from the ground into gold. We are the state that is the innovation state, the state that leads the world in new ideas. It's rightful that we begin to push a very aggressive policy on how California becomes the innovation state on not only creating jobs and creating power for the people of our state, but also in doing it in a way that saves the planet. Less and less, we're talking about how important it is to save our planet and how human activity is creating such a burden on the world's population. Currently, in China, in the Hunan province, there is acres, hundreds of acres and thousands of acres of land are being removed from the production of rice. You think of China, you think of rice. They can't grow rice in one of the most fertile areas in China. What does that mean? More consumption in China of California rice. Because we are better environmental stewards, we are selling rice to rice-producing countries. That is something to celebrate in California. In energy, we need to celebrate that we are leading the nation in job creation in the energy sector. We need to continue to move more aggressively in this area and continue to create jobs in our state. This is about jobs and the environment. Nobody wants to live next to a polluting, contaminating energy producer, whether it be a coal-powered plant or an oil-powered plant. In some parts of the world, there are countries, and in many cases commonwealths of the U.S., that are powering their commonwealths with almost 100% of petroleum power. You know, this is bad on the environment, bad for the consumers. In one instance, when the cost of a barrel of oil increased $10, $800 million left the state of, or the country of Puerto Rico in that instance. This is also about protecting our economy, about being energy independent. When we consume California products, our economy goes up. We are moving more toward consuming energy only from the state of California, and that will help our economy and help create quality jobs. So this is about, you know, creating jobs, but also checking the price on gas prices. Gas prices continue to go up. How do we combat that? How do we create options for Californians? Again, as my colleague mentioned, I don't want to pile on the oil companies either, but in February, we saw gas prices go up in a way that impacted Californians $500 million. $500 million went to gas companies from our consumers' pockets. That is not the best way to provide a great economy for California. This policy will ensure that jobs stay in California, and these jobs help to stabilize the cost of power in all sectors. This will reduce the cost of renewable energy. This will reduce the cost of petroleum at the pump. So we need to move forward with this, and I applaud our pro tem for taking on such a monumental issue. This will put California, or this will continue to put California on the map worldwide, and we should continue to do big things here in California that will help us increase our economy, and we're well on our way to do that with this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hueso. Senator Bates?
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise this morning respectively, certainly in opposition to SB 350, because the goals are certainly noble and necessary. However, how do we get there? What are the objectives and what are the tactics, actually, that this legislature is going to take responsibility for? The Sacramento Bee mentioned in its April 22nd editorial, SB 350 sets an ambitious goal, but it does not lay out how the state is to achieve that goal. Before they approve this far-reaching legislation, lawmakers need to get answers to basic questions and let the rest of us in on the details. Currently, the Air Resources Control Board, an unelected body, is implementing AB 32, which has resulted in businesses throughout California charged billions of dollars without legislative oversight or approval. That majority vote bill has resulted in 10-cent per gallon cost being added to gasoline as a result of putting gasoline production under cap and trade. According to our LAO, this is costing Californians $3 billion over 2 years. That does not help business or business production. That does not help job opportunities or job creation. Gasoline in California is already $1 per gallon higher than the rest of the country. Currently, California motorists use 36 million gallons of gas and 7 million gallons of diesel every day. SB 350 would require by 2030 that only 18 million gallons of gas and 3.5 million gallons of diesel be used every day. It doesn't say anything about what will replace that fuel. Will this critical decision be left to the California Air Resources Board? As members of the legislature, we should not give up our authority or our oversight to an unelected body. There should be parameters in the bill. Shouldn't the legislature have to approve any tax increase, fee increase, or any billion-dollar charge to California businesses that result from this bill? I think the law requires that. Members, climate change is an important issue. We need to be sure that we fight climate change by promoting good business practices, not by giving an unelected body unlimited authority to cost Californians billions in added costs with no legislative oversight. That will not get us to the other goals that we hold dear, that is job creation, lifting people out of poverty, and keeping our businesses strong and healthy. Until we have more bipartisan dialogue on the critical issues and commit to retaining the authority given to us by the electorate, I urge a no vote on SB 350.